We don't get the real tasty cakes. We don't even have a good power grid.
Look here,
And he
you
has to move back.
What's up, crackers? Getting my soup.
This is what happens when I let AJ introduce the show. Welcome to Movie Pain or Pleasure, the show that's a knockout for your ears and eyes. I am your co-host, Melanie Gibson, and I got a nice glass of Chardonnay with me because I'm a woman of a certain age, and our blood starts to dry out if we don't drink wine. So I'll enjoy my Chardonnay while my lovely co-host introduces himself.
Next time you don't drink wine, you'll have to point it out.
I've only had wine on like 3 of these podcasts.
Maybe it's just because we did Undisputed and you had to have one to make it interesting.
I had one with Knock Knock, and that made me really funny.
Yeah.
So I'll have some wild turkey for our Thanksgiving episode. Okay, so what are we talking about today? Because this is kind of a special episode.
Rocky.
As
Because
in?
the entirety of Rocky. Like all of it. Everything.
The entire franchise, because Thanksgiving is in November, and this is Appreciation Month because we did a whole lot of complaining in October. So, kind of like our Jungle Book episode, we just want to talk some movies we really love and that are pleasurable to us and not painful.
And this is the best franchise ever.
Yeah, it's the best franchise ever, and we'll get into a friendly debate if we want, because the other big franchises that we like are Fast and Furious, which is completely ridiculous, and then Star Wars. And, you know, one could argue that, like, some of the worst Rocky movies are better than some of the better Star Wars movies. So, and I love Star Wars, but I also love Rocky. I'm a child of the 80s. If my glass of Chardonnay didn't already age me, I grew up watching the Rocky movies, so it reminds me of my childhood and listening to the Rocky music. And I feel like with Star Wars, I've just always grown up watching Rocky movies.
I want to see Rocky punch out, like, Luke Skywalker.
Rocky's too nice.
Or Anakin.
No, he'd be so
You
mesmerized.
killed younglings?
No, hey, that stick lights up. That's pretty cool. So, all right. So the first 6 movies in the franchise are about Rocky Balboa, played by Sylvester Stallone. And the 7th and 8th movies in the franchise are about Adonis Creed, who's the son of Apollo Creed. All were written or co-written by Sylvester Stallone, except for Creed. And the first film, Rocky, which I've got the DVD, came out in 1976, and it won an Oscar for Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Film Editing. So let's get into this and talk about what we like about it. So Rocky from 1976, I think, is beloved by everybody. I don't know anybody who doesn't like this movie. So
I guess it's everybody's favorite. Like,
it's
for the
my
most
favorite
part, it's
for
like,
sure. Yeah, and there's some little things that I didn't quite remember about it from my childhood that I've enjoyed watching again as an adult. Like, for a while, poor Rocky, just this not super dumb, but you know, just kind of a simple guy, very sweet, down on his luck, trying to make it as a boxer. He worked as like a heavy for the mob. He would go and stand in the background and look menacing while this low-level mob boss would go collect money. And I think his boss, I could be wrong on this, I think his boss was the guy in The Godfather who was getting a shave or something before he was about to go kill a bunch of people. He's got a mustache and he always wears sunglasses, and I think he had a bigger part in Godfather too. I think it's the same guy.
So is this in the Godfather universe?
It could be in the Godfather universe. Okay, we might as well talk about this. So we like to have multiverses. Since we watch so many movies and TV shows. And since this is in Philadelphia, and in kind of the crappy parts of Philadelphia, we figure, you know, Patty's Pub from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is probably in Rocky's Philadelphia. And we would love to have the gang meet Rocky. I feel like Frank would probably try to sucker him into some kind of deal where he has Rocky throw the fight and he makes money off of it.
I feel like Rocky would accidentally, like, outwit all of them.
He would. Mac would bow up on him and act like he's going to fight him, but then he would chicken out at the last minute, and Charlie would just be enamored with him the whole time. And Dee would try to hit on him. He'd be like, yo, no, I'm a married man. So, and Dennis, what would Dennis do?
I think Dennis would try to get in with women by using him somehow. I don't know how.
He would flirt with Adrian, and that would be the end of Dennis.
I don't know.
Yeah. Also in Philadelphia are the M. Night Shyamalan movies Unbreakable, Split, and Glass. So imagine all of those characters in the same universe. Maybe Rocky's the only guy who could fight, what's his name? Kevin Wendell Crumb when
That's
he's
why
the Beast.
Rocky survived all the head trauma.
Because he fought James McAvoy when he was the Beast.
Well, I mean, I guess because he survived head trauma, he could do that.
I don't know. It maybe gives him superpowers.
Sure. I don't
know. Okay.
Head trauma. That's
Anyway,
all.
so Rocky's down on his luck as a boxer. We all know this story. And so he starts to make it big, starts to make a name for himself. And what I kind of like about this movie is that he doesn't win. He loses the fight with Apollo Creed at the end of it. Yeah. And that's somewhat brought back later in Rocky Balboa, which is kind of the revisit of his first story. So it's just really sweet. I love his relationship with Adrian. He's really good to her. Poor Adrian. And that also introduces us to our my second favorite character, my first one being Rocky. And the second one is Paulie Panina. God. And he is an asshole. He is such an asshole.
He's the uncle you can't introduce to people. No,
he's so racist. And I was thinking, half my family comes from the East Coast and is from immigrant families and stuff. And so I kind of get where I have met men like Paulie. I think I'm related to some men like Paulie. So he's played by Burt Young through most of the movies. I think at some point Paulie is written out that he's died. But he's loud and he's mean. I wouldn't say he has a heart of gold, but he's got some good in him somewhere. He loves Rocky, probably more than he ever loved his sister because he treated her like shit.
He has that weird, bulldog, bowing to the bigger dog thing going on. Mm-hmm. There's a bigger dog in the yard, so I'll just scrunch up and suck up, and hopefully I'll get a bone every once in a while. Yeah, there's a moment in Rocky Balboa that we really like with Paulie, so we'll get to that when we talk about that movie. So, not much to say about that. I mean, if you haven't seen it, go see it. It's a classic. It's I think one of the movies I could watch over and over again. That's just one of my feel-good movies if I need to put on something. I can say it's objectively the best one, but I enjoy it, but I don't fondly remember, every little detail or anything like that. It's always fun to watch, but
I think I do. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. So, that's Rocky 1976. Rocky 2 came out in 1979, which makes it super old. It's 42 years old. That's positively ancient. I can't think of anything else that's 42 years old and is preserved by alcohol. And honestly, I don't remember much about this movie. I think I saw it. I didn't see it when it came out because I was born that year. But I saw it as a child, and I don't remember that much about it. It's probably my least favorite because it's the least memorable. I don't know if it's least memorable. Okay, so there's a lot of this stuff with, what happens with his life after the big fight that got him a little bit of, endorsement deals and stuff. You see that he's, sort of illiterate, and but although he's, proposing to, he has the big proposal to Adrian. They have the lead up to the rematch. With Apollo? Yeah. Because Apollo beat him in the first one. It's the one where he wins. Yeah, I guess it's... I remember enough of it, and I enjoy it. I don't know if I like it as much as the first one. I suppose I don't, but... No. I still think it's probably still better than the third one, as a written movie, but... I don't know. That's debatable. I think... is it better than all of the Star Wars prequels? Yes, it is. So that brings us to Rocky 3, which came out in 1982, and it has one of my favorite childhood 80s icons of all time, Mr. T. I love Mr. T! How did he come to exist? I don't know. I wish I'd done a little research on Mr. T because I used to watch the A-Team show when I was a kid, and he used to come on and tell us, don't do drugs and stay in school, and I was like, yes, sir, Mr. T, I'm not going to do that. Kick your ass, I guess. Yeah, and my brother and I had this cool A-Team van, and it was like a little tent that you could put together. I was really into the A-Team. It was awesome. I never revisited the A-Team. I didn't watch the version with
Bradley Cooper, so I
Was
don't...
Mr. T in it? Does he do a cameo?
No, it's...
Well, then what's the point of watching it?
Rampage
That's
Jackson.
I don't know who
Although
that
it
is.
probably could have been Mr. T, because he still looks the same.
And he's still awesome. So anyway, Mr. T is a loud-talking, bombastic boxer. Is it Clubber Lane? Or
Yeah, Clubber
Lang?
Lang.
Lang with a G.
Because that's a normal name.
Clubber Lang. I like it. It has a nice flow to it.
No, I don't hate Balboa, but I pity the fool, and I will destroy any man who tries to take what I got.
What's your prediction for the fight, then?
Prediction?
Yes, prediction.
Pain.
Clubber Lang. Like Chainsaw Sally. It's a good name for a band. So Mr. T is the big guy who's talking a bunch of shit to Rocky, and Rocky's always kind of deflecting, being nice about it. But a really big upset happens in this movie. Mickey dies. And Mickey's another great character. He was played by Burgess Meredith, who... I don't think this was his first role, but he was probably in the most famous Twilight episode of all time. The last man on Earth who breaks his glasses and can't read books anymore.
There is a fifth dimension, beyond that which is known to man.
Get up, you son of a bitch!
Read books anymore. He was also the Penguin in the 1960s Batman series.
Spoiler.
Amazing! So, he's a dick. He's basically his character in Grumpy Old Men. Just an old grouch who yells at Rocky, calls him a bum, but he loves Rocky.
You son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch! Get up, you son of a bitch! But he loves Rocky, and Rocky loves Mickey. And something happens. Clubber doesn't attack him or anything, but he does something that upsets Mickey, and Mickey has a heart attack and dies.
I think he may have also hit him.
But wasn't it kind of an... I'm trying to
Like
exonerate Mr. T. I can't believe that Mr. T would ever kill somebody.
He gets in the middle of the fight or something. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Something
Either way,
happens.
he's old and he's died.
So Rocky is he's heartbroken and he's out for revenge. So he beats Clubber in this one, right?
Yeah. Oh, well, this is where Polly shows himself more and more.
Oh God, let's talk about Polly.
What's up with all this jungle music?
Oh God,
Yeah,
the racism. Yes, he goes to a boxing gym and they're playing like hip hop music or something. It's
He
the
ain't
early
a colored
80s.
fighter.
Yes, he
That's
says
colored fighter.
He calls someone a colored fighter, and he calls it jungle music. I'm like, fuck, Polly, stop it. Oh God.
Sorry, their music didn't come from fucking olive oil.
And again, old guy from an immigrant family from the East Coast. These guys are real. I know them. Some of them are in my family. So, yeah, unfortunately, like, it's awful, but good writing because those people exist.
And Apollo doesn't bat an eye. He's just like...
Apollo could buy and sell Polly.
He looks like, shut up, short stack. Like,
yeah, he could buy and sell Polly. Apollo gives no fucks. So, and Polly's just, I mean, he's all bark and no bite. He's one of the most insecure characters I've ever seen, ever.
although, also, like, he kind of has a point. Like, he doesn't have a point
Be careful, because he just
have-
said some really racist shit, so he doesn't have a point about that.
He doesn't have a point about the racist stuff, but I do kind of call bullshit on them, like, retraining Rocky into this whole new person. Like, bullshit, he beat Apollo in a sprint race on the beach. Like, that was and they had that big...
So he has to train in a different way to fight Clubber?
Yeah, like, he was gonna be like, you got no rhythm, and I'm gonna teach you how to have rhythm, and he basically, this is supposed to be where Rocky stopped being the punching face, like, where he just walks in and...
Where he just gets socked in the face
Which
all the
eventually,
time?
he just goes right back to doing that again, by the way, but, I'm trying to remember, is this the movie where he switches hands?
It might be.
At some point, he switches back to Orthodox, and then he switches back in, like, the very next movie. I think this might be the one.
Something like that. So he beats Clubber Lang, and his star continues to rise. And is the robot in this one, or is it in the fourth one?
Fourth one.
This brings us to the one I remember the most from my childhood, Rocky IV from 1985, and I remember watching it with my cousins, and we were really excited about it. So the big villain in this is Ivan Drago, played by Dolph Lundgren. And so Rocky is rich at this point. He has a talking robot because it's the 80s, and everybody had a talking robot, including Pee Wee Herman on Pee Wee's Playhouse. And also in the movie Short Circuit
What
with
did
number
Polly
5.
do with that robot?
I don't know, but he lost all of Rocky's money while he was in Russia.
I'm pretty sure he probably tried to do stuff with that robot.
Oh, no. No, Polly's only racist. He's not a sexual fiend. So...
It's a robot.
No! No!
It doesn't have feelings.
No! Polly probably had bought, like, prostitutes back in his day.
If it works for that robot in that Han Solo movie that was trash...
Oh, it works.
Then it works here.
No, don't ruin Polly even further. So anyway, Rocky's got a ridiculous
Polly
amount of
started
money.
watching the Jetsons and was looking at their maid
Just stop. No, stop. Stop it. Anyway, Rocky's got a ridiculous amount of money. And I think
scared on you.
this is the one... Hush. Okay, this is where there's the driving montage, right?
Well, he has... Now... Okay, the big, like, famous, really bad, over-the-top driving montage...
Where he's thinking...
is from 5,
I thought...
I think.
Okay.
He might have a driving montage in this,
There was one where he was really contemplating something and he gets
this
in his
is the
sports car and it's just
series
him
of
driving.
montages, so...
Yeah, so Ivan Drago talks a bunch of shit. He's the guy from Russia. Now, at the time, I remember being a kid in the 80s, and the big kind of global villain was the Soviet Union. So, you know, you'd hear like,
Because times were different then.
Because times were different then. Really, the evil empire was a little closer to home, if you know what I mean. So, but Russia was the big villain, so they were always the big villains in movies, and that's who all the Americans were afraid of because of the Cold War. So, Ivan Drago has the best of steroids and the best training and all of this, and so Rocky is always, he's a little hesitant about it, but,
I mean...
Well, here's the thing. They make a big deal out of it. We're almost skipped over the most important part. They make a huge deal of him fighting Apollo Creed. Now, Apollo, this is maybe where his hubris comes in. He talks just as much shit, puts on a big show. They have James Brown singing and everything, and...
Like, it almost looks like an alien landed on Earth and is getting freaked out about what's around him. Like, that's the way it was shot.
It's a big American bombastic thing. So the big thing is Apollo's gonna fight. We got distracted with Polly and the robot and Rocky's money.
I wasn't gonna skip over it. I was trying to cut you off.
No!
I thought you were gonna skip past.
I thought I was gonna skip over. So the most important part is Ivan Drago kills Apollo Creed.
And Hitler just rolled over in his grave.
Wait, because a Russian won?
Because a white guy beat up a black guy.
Oh, and Hitler would like that because he's a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And
he was
so,
like, we may have lost the Olympics, but...
Oh, he's still sore about that. So, yeah, fuck all those racist white people. So, Ivan Drago punches Apollo Creed and he dies. And he's very kind of...
Like Rocky almost did in real life.
What?
Dolph Lundgren punched Sylvester Stallone in the chest in one of the scenes, like really, really fucking hard.
Really fucking hard.
And his heart swelled up and he died. Well, he almost died.
Oh my god.
He went to a hospital. This also happened... Sylvester Stallone likes to be murdered in his films because it happens several times.
Okay. I want Sylvester Stallone around for a while. We got him around for Creed 3.
Still alive.
Okay.
But yeah, his heart swelled up.
Sylvester,
and he almost
we're worried
died.
about you. Stay with us. So Apollo Creed dies, and Rocky is just absolutely crushed. And so he's once again kind of fighting. He's out to avenge the death of the person he loves, and so he goes to Russia.
I never thought about that.
What?
Yeah, he avenges people's deaths a strange amount of times.
He avenged Mickey's death, and he avenges Apollo Creed's death. And so he goes to Russia, and there's the big montage, which we haven't played music with that, but if you've listened to our Best of the Best episode, you know we like to play silly songs over either workout montages or fighting montages. We haven't done it with this, so may have to do that next time. But Ivan has the best of everything, the best steroids, the best doctors. They've got him hooked up to all this equipment. And meanwhile, Rocky grows a really fabulous beard.
I was wondering if you were going to bring up the beard.
Sylvester Stallone looks good with a beard. Like, bro, grow your beard out again. You were handsome with that beard. Like, so he just is like knee deep in the snow, doing old school CrossFit. He's like the Koreans in Best of the Best. So he is doing old school.
That would be funny if he just kept fucking
Like,
walking until he hit Korea.
old school Soviet
he
gulag.
sees all these Koreans.
Yeah, and the Koreans are just like they're striking the trees.
They're
like,
punching their own hand.
Yeah, go back and watch Best of the Best. So anyway, he's doing like Soviet gulag, Siberia torture workouts, and they have the fight, and bullshit, they're in the same weight class.
Nobody's in the same weight class in any of these movies. Like,
Rocky was not...
Heavyweight champion sounds cool. That's the only reason.
It sounds cool. He eventually became heavyweight. He didn't look like a heavyweight in the first movie.
Okay, although, even in... She's talking about Rocky Balboa, but even in that, in real life, he's not a heavyweight.
He was huge
he's
in
like
Rocky Balboa.
5'8". Like...
That dude was juiced in Rocky Balboa.
He'd been juiced for a while, but
yeah.
Which is fine.
So anyway,
part of his job.
Anyway, Rocky has Mr. Heart of Gold. He wins. He beats Ivan Drago, which makes me think of like when you beat the big Russian guy in Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
He has the best speech ever. If I can change, you can change.
We can all change.
I mean, he was concussed, so...
Oh, poor Rocky. Just they always have to have him say something after he's fighting. You're like, he's gotten hit in the head 50 times.
And
Just
it's
let
not
the
an
man...
assumption. They definitely prove it in the 5th one.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll get to that in a second. So, you think, his friend is gone, but he has avenged his death, and he has defended the honor of the United States of America, because, we need it. But then he comes home to discover, what did his brother-in-law do?
We don't know.
He invested his money
he
poorly.
Well, yeah, but it's such a weird exposition-y way of doing it. It's like, all your money's gone. I just got back.
They didn't really spend a lot of time explaining the ins and outs of how Paulie somehow had access to all of Rocky's assets, all of his accounts, and then boom, all his money's gone.
Just has to happen to be that he's like taken off of the board by the medical field or whatever, because they find out he's like overly concussed.
So things don't go well for Rocky.
With the opening shot in that movie where he's in the shower.
Oh, is that 4?
That's 5.
Oh, okay, let's get to 5. So he has to move back to the south side.
This is 5. You don't find out about the Polly stuff in 4.
Oh, you're okay. What you're doing is being like me, being a woman and making a transition without being stated clearly.
I didn't bring up you brought up the money stuff with Polly.
I thought that was in 4.
Why would they have the end like, yeah, I beat Russia. Fuck, I'm broke.
Okay, never mind. Whatever. So, yay, he beat Russia in the 4th one. And then in the 5th one, all the shit happens. And he has to move back.
Trying to tell me what...
We have been waiting for an opportunity for AJ to say, look here, you skirt. Because he says that to me all the time.
It's not all the time. It's a phrase that has gone unappreciated for a long time.
Well, that's what I appreciate about you. Okay, I'm going to be quiet and drink my wine. Why don't you tell us the story of Rocky V, which came out in 1990?
Oh. I feel like it wouldn't have been at that... Whatever. Okay, 90. That's cool. So it opens in the showers.
Not really something I need to see.
I was like, okay, you're in really good shape, bro. But I don't know why it had to be in the shower when you're like... I mean, it's a good scene. Like, it freaks you out because he has to literally call for Adrian because he's like, something's wrong. He just knows something's wrong. His head is broken. So he goes to the doctor and they're like, well, not only were you partially blind before, now you'll die.
Is it that same issue that football players have where...
CTE?
Yes.
Yeah, that thing. Yeah, CTE. Even though in
trauma.
Rocky Balboa, they're like, you're cleared on all the things. So maybe he healed
that
from it.
stuff doesn't just go away, but okay.
Whatever. Okay. I mean, theoretically.
Anyway.
So, yeah. Polly lost all her money. They gotta move into a shitbox house. And...
They gotta move in with Charlie and Frank. And use Frank's toe knife.
See, okay, this is the point where... Frank's still in business, so he would probably have...
We're bringing back It's Always
Sunny. He probably
Sunny.
would have been involved with the mob stuff and been, like, trying to get somebody to go get Rocky to come back into the fold.
So Frank Reynolds was responsible for Polly losing all of Rocky's money.
That could work.
That could work.
Okay.
We did it. We made the universe meld.
So anyway, so he tries to start training, I guess.
Pause. Let me just say this. You know what also exists in the Rocky, It's Always Sunny, and M. Night Shyamalan universe?
Shyamalan.
You know what else exists and came out of Philadelphia? Fucking Tasty Cakes.
Oh, God.
Tasty Cakes. Okay. Look, I've born and raised in Texas. However, my mom is from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and so I spent all my summers there, and my grandparents would send us care packages. And I did not eat that Little Debbie bullshit other than the oatmeal cream pies. I had tasty cakes, peanut butter candy cakes. I would murder somebody for dark chocolate, coconut candy cakes, butterscotch crimpets. The whole works, the best snack cakes ever. And they used to have online ordering, and I could order all the tasty cakes that my heart desired, and then they stopped doing that, and they thought, oh, nationwide distribution will be just fine, because you used to only be able to get them on the East Coast. But all we get in Texas are those shitty donuts and the honey buns. We don't get the real tasty cakes. We don't even have a good power grid. So Texas is a third world country. We don't have good taste. We don't have the good tasty cakes, so we don't have a good power grid.
You remember that little bitch in Willy Wonka that got thrown down a slide?
Yes.
That's what you sound like when you're just listing shit off. Like,
oh, I can't complain about the power grid?
no, the power grid's a bull.
I
fucking.
want tasty cakes. Okay,
I want to
anyway.
plug up the power grid with Governor Abbott's body.
Oh, shit. Pennsylvania was a big part of my childhood, and a big part of my childhood was tasty cakes. So that's what I think of when I think of Philadelphia. So anyway.
Veruca. That little bitch.
Okay,
Whenever she's
fine,
going around and she's like saying like, I'm gonna have this and this
I'm
and
going to
this and
sing
this.
a whole song about tasty cakes. So anyway, tell us about Rocky 5.
He starts training people to make money, and Adrian goes back to working in the pet store, and it's sad, and his son's 12 now, and his son's like getting beat up at school because he's the son of Rocky Balboa, but he's a little twig boy. And then
Is he Twigman?
and then Rocky hits it off with something gun. I can't remember his Jay.
Tommy gun.
Tommy gun.
Like a Tommy gun.
Tommy gun. Fucking.
Yeah, he's a redneck.
I'm from Oklahoma, and
he's got a mullet and everything.
There was something that we. Never mind. It doesn't
We saw
matter.
him in something, and now I can't remember.
And it was like, oh shit, it's this dude, but he didn't really have a career. Anyway, and he gets in close with Rocky, and he starts winning fights, and then he's kind of a huge asshole, and he starts taking over the parts of Rocky's life that has to do with his son, and Rocky's sort of accidentally neglecting his son because he's kind of being a bad dad right now, and then he sort of treats him like he's younger than he is, and his son goes off and learns how to box from not Rocky, and then beats up a kid at school, and then one day flips out and is like, fuck you, Dad, and he runs out.
So it's a father-son issues are the theme of this movie.
And then Tommy Gunn shows up, and he's like, I can't work with you, Tommy. And Tommy's like, that ain't
Doesn't
it.
Rocky fire
There was
him?
some other guy that's based off of Don King that stole Tommy Gunn from Rocky, and Rocky's like, you're betraying me. And then he gets in his car, he drives around to a weird montage.
And he's just thinking.
And
That's a thinking montage.
And people don't like this movie, but the main point is the fight at the end is the best fight of the movie.
Okay, take some time to explain that, because it's the best part. This is one of the best
He does
parts
a
of the
spin
entire...
takedown.
Okay, talk...
Like,
wait, but what's the setup for the
out
fight?
of nowhere. Let's see. All I remember... I should remember more, but all I remember is they're in the bar. He fucking Tommy comes in, he's talking shit to Rocky, and he hits, or he tries to hit Paulie for probably talking shit, because that's what Paulie does. And Rocky's like, let's fucking go outside. And they go outside, and he starts like manhandling him like with like spinning wrestling moves and shit.
He does
and
the swiftest, fastest takedown.
It's awesome.
It's awesome.
He did like a soccer sweep at one moment too, and then he fucking did some dirty boxing where he grabbed his arm and he was like punching him in the back of the head. It's so cool.
It's so cool. It's the best fight of the entire Rocky
because
franchise.
it's just a fight.
And it's like, if you don't like the movie, you can probably find it on YouTube. Like the last 10 minutes of Rocky 5. Best. It's a straight fight. It's freaking awesome.
And the best use of Mickey in the whole series. So
oh god.
Rocky does get sort of like hit from behind because he fucks up Tommy and he walks away, and then Tommy gets up and he like hits him in the back of the head or some shit, and Rocky's sitting there dazed, and he gets these scary flashbacks of Burgess Meredith flying at his face and like going, "Get up, you son of a bitch, 'cause Mickey loves you." And like,
And it was so abrupt going from "get up, you son of a bitch" Mickey loves you. And we were just, I mean, it was funny. We were dying laughing. It was not supposed to be funny. It was really funny.
He goes from screaming at him to whispering in his ear.
Mickey loves you.
Like, and I don't even know, like, how they, like, if the parts, there was a scene thrown in that maybe it was from another movie, and they're like, ooh, we can still use that. I don't know. But it's awesome. And, okay, this probably isn't the best movie, but it had really good ideas, and it sets up Creed, which I know there's another movie in between, but in Creed, he doesn't want to train Creed, and this explains why. Well, not when I was a kid, but when I saw Creed, I hadn't seen Rocky 5 yet, because there's too many Rockies. So I was always kind of like, well, I get that he doesn't want to, but I don't know why, because he never explained it. But if you've seen Rocky 5, you know exactly why.
You know, he had a bad experience training a young boxer, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, so... That's Rocky 5.
That's Rocky 5.
And then... Rocky Balboa. Yeah, Rocky Balboa came out in 2006, so there's a pretty long stretch.
This might... I don't want to say it. I don't know. This might be my favorite, but it might also be because it was
even
the first...
more than the first one?
I just really like the old guy showing the young guys up thing. I don't know.
Okay.
It was the first one I ever watched.
Okay, so why don't you tell us about it?
So Rocky's old. That's... Yeah. Rocky's old. He pulled together enough money to open his own restaurant, which, now that I know what 5 was about, it is kind of weird. I don't know. I guess he did good enough training people that he was able to open a restaurant. He named it Adrian. Adrian's dead. Sad, sad, sad. I wasn't that attached to Adrian.
But they spend a long time at the beginning with him going back, and I don't know if it's the anniversary of her death or it's their wedding anniversary or something, but he kind of goes and visits all the old places like the pet store and the skate, and Paulie's there complaining and screaming the whole time. He visits her grave.
But we get good Paulie moments. Like,
we do get some good Paulie moments.
We get to see how shitty he feels about the way he treated
does.
his sister.
You treat her good! I treat her bad! You're so eloquent, Paulie.
I don't gotta do this anymore.
Yeah.
So, so the big antagonist is Mason the Line Dixon.
That is a guy's name.
Is in the Mason-Dixon line.
Oh.
So, which I don't know who wrote it. I don't know if that's based off of somebody. I don't know if the guy who played the part picked his own name because he's a real boxer. Well, he doesn't look like it. No offense. But, so, Rocky's feeling old. He's just running his restaurant. There's this pseudo-scenario thing where they're like, who would win between Rocky and this new guy?
It's on like ESPN or something. They do a simulated fight of...
He's beating the shit out of everybody.
Who would... They take boxers from different eras like Muhammad Ali and
so they had like Floyd if he was taller and didn't work out, and then Rocky, and like, who would win? And the sports commentators are fucking assholes sometimes for no reason. Pounded chicken, this... Oh.
Yeah, somebody makes fun of Rocky because he has a restaurant.
Which is like, this man has a legitimate business.
What is he going to make? Pounded chicken? I'm like, that's how you make chicken parmesan. So,
also, he would fuck you up.
Yeah, so they say that Rocky would win. Rocky doesn't care. But Mason gets kind of ruffled about it, and he's unhappy about it. And meanwhile, Rocky's son kind of has a boring corporate job, and he has distanced himself from his father. It's
more of the... They do this in like 3 of the movies, but I mean, it's not like... It's not unrealistic. Like, people do just flat out never get over stuff. But, so, we already saw he was neglected when he was 12 in Rocky 5, and he was getting, like, kind of bullied for being Rocky's son. And then we get, well, he can't really work on his own merits because he's still in Philadelphia, and he's still Rocky's son. People are like, you're a piece of shit. But I'm going to keep you here because maybe your dad will show up. Oh, look, your dad. Can I get a picture with your dad, fuckface? I'm going to go do that. Fuck you. You're a piece of shit. Hey, Rocky, how's it going?
Yeah, so What is it? We just watched this movie last night, but I've slept since then, and I've had NyQuil since then, so I don't quite remember. What makes Rocky agree to want to go to the boxing board and get his license back and agree to this? It's an exhibition fight that they want to do with Rocky and Mason Dixon.
There's not a great catalyst for Rocky getting his license and all that. First, he just wanted to sort of fight again because he was, I don't know, maybe he's bored. And he has several conversations where he's trying to figure it out himself. He's just like, with his old friend, callback, Little Marie from the very, very first one that's like, screw you, creepo. Good for them for bringing her back in.
Yeah, they have Little Marie, they have Spider, who likes to wash dishes, and...
I'm Spinner.
It makes us think of Spinner and Death to Smoochie, which I'm probably the one person in the world who loves that movie. So, Spider likes to hang out in Rocky's restaurant. He was in the first
cooking
movie.
Food. Mm-hmm. Well, no, okay.
He washes dishes because Jesus told him to.
Rocky gives him free food because they used to fight, and Spider, not Spinner. Spider's like, I gotta pay you back, so shut up and let me cook. And Jesus told me to, and we don't know if that's the cook right next to him or actual Jesus.
Yeah.
But anyway, so whatever. Mason Dixon's people reach out to Rocky to get a fight because Mason Dixon isn't getting fights lined up because he keeps beating everybody, and he's like he's a total dick.
Yeah, and some of the criticism to Mason Dixon is like, well, he's kind of had cream puff fights. Like, he hasn't really he hasn't really had a good opponent. Yeah, it's not like he's so good that he just beats the shit out of everybody. It's like, well, they're giving him easy fights.
They also call back to the third movie. I mean, Mickey admitted he did the same thing for Rocky.
Gave him easy fights?
Yeah, he was giving him, not easy, but he was giving him fights he knew he could keep winning to stay on top as the champion and keep making money for his family because he knew eventually that shit was going to end.
Boxers have to eat,
which is why he was afraid of letting Rocky fight Clubber Lang. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, they're like, oh, we'll do this thing for charity. Okay, charity's cool. And there's Rocky talks with Polly, and Polly's like, what's in the basement?
Wait. Let's set that up, because we said earlier there was a good Polly moment. So, Rocky's hanging out in the meat factory, which we saw that in the very first movie, which is how he went and he punched sides of beef and stuff. And, Polly uses his downtime to paint. And he likes to paint dogs. His downtime on the
whole
company time.
He's probably doing it the entire time.
He's hanging out there, and Rocky's just kind of trouble. He's like, Paulie, I get stuff, like, in my basement. And Paulie just puts down his paintbrush and is like, tell me about the stuff.
Tell me about the stuff.
Tell me about the stuff.
It's all scratchy.
Normally, usually he'd say, you would think Polly would say something like, what, you have emotions, you fruit? Something like that. Like you gotta cry like a woman?
I don't know if it's because he's older and he's more mature, even though he makes a reservation joke later, or if it's because it's Rocky and...
He loves Rocky. He would never say it in his life. But he loves Rocky, and he looks up to him, and he cares about him. So he just very calmly, what's in the basement, Rocky? And Rocky's just got all this anger and stuff built up. So you have this nice moment because, men and boys in our culture are not encouraged to talk about their emotions and their feelings. And it's kind of this nice moment between two men who were brought up in a generation that you did not talk about your feelings. And they're talking about their feelings, and I think that's kind of awesome.
You can... But you have to insult each other while you do it.
No homo, but I'm feeling kind of sad right now.
Look here, you pussy. If you need me, call me up. Now stop being a bitch.
You know how men are with each other. They just punch each other in the balls and they're best friends. So
that
anyway,
only happened to me once.
Didn't seem like it. So anyway, Rocky's got stuff in his basement. And so Polly kind of encourages him to you need to go work this out and pursue this fight. So, is this when Rocky goes to the board and he speaks his case and
the board's
convinces them to give him his license back?
You beat our test of flying colors. Also, no. Because you're old and this is a bad idea. And he's like, well, the fucking Statue of Liberty says I get to fight. She told me herself.
This is American. This is America. I can put my life at risk if I want to. That's my God-given right.
I love how he knows. Like, he would probably have been a smart guy if he was given the chance to be a smart guy. But, because he's so eloquently ineloquent. He's like, yeah, what about that document that happened up the street?
Yeah, because they're in Philadelphia, so you got all the historical things, the Bill of Rights and all that stuff. So, yeah, all that stuff is there. So he gives a little speech, and they reinstate his boxing license. So the exhibition match is on.
And we get the best opening to a scene ever.
I just watched this movie yesterday, and I completely forgot.
The trainer.
Oh, okay. Talk about that.
So we always like make our own version of this when we're being stupid, because so his trainer, which is like Apollo's trainer that ended up training him.
So he's as ancient as Rocky.
Yeah, he's old as fuck. He's like, well, your knees are no good, so you can't run, and your hips are bad, so there's no turning, and your shoulders are popped out of socket. There's no pull-ups. There's just a list of like 3 things where he's like, basically, you can't do shit. And he's like,
except for powerlifting.
Hard running's out. So
sparring is
hurting
out.
bombs. He said hard sparring is out because you got calcium deposits in your neck. And he's like, but
to beat this guy, you need speed. You don't have it, and your knees can't take the pounding. So hard running is out. And you got arthritis in your neck, and you've got calcium deposits on most of your joints. So sparring is out. So what we'll be calling on is good old-fashioned blunt force trauma, horsepower, heavy-duty cast iron, pile-driving punches that will have to hurt so much they'll rattle his ancestors. Every time you hit him with his shot, it's got to feel like he tried kissing the express train. Yeah. Let's start building some hurting bombs.
So we're basically going to make you so strong with old man strength that you're going to beat the shit out of this guy until his ancestors are dead.
Good old-fashioned horsepower.
And then at the end, he goes, yeah!
So if you're just listening to the podcast, this dude, and you see it in profile,
and you hear it crack.
He cracks his neck, looks left to right, cracks his neck, and then juts his chin forward. Yeah! And like his mustache kind of pops out.
For nobody.
It's the most...
This was the weirdest...
It's the funniest visual.
It's the strangest alpha flex ever. To crack your neck and go, yeah!
So we see Rocky training, and his son kind of... They reconcile, and he gets into it. So he's helping train, and Little Marie's son is kind of hanging out with him too, because it's, you know, the 2 young guys are friends.
I wish he would be called back for, like, one of the Creed movies.
Little Marie's son?
Yeah.
Steps? Yeah, I wish they'd bring Steps back.
From Europe.
Yeah, Jamaica, but he's from Europe. So that's a Rocky joke. But anyway, so we see some training montages, and he doesn't chase chickens or anything like in the old movie, but he does. I think he does. Paulie sneaks him into the meat factory, doesn't he?
Yeah, he punches some meat, even though Paulie got fired. So I don't.
Paulie gets fired eventually. And
I mean, maybe he can he knows when the boss is out, so they slip in and do their thing.
Yeah.
And he fucking smashes barrels and does pull-ups and hits a.
Old school Rocky CrossFit.
Yeah.
So,
he picks up chains and throws them on the ground, and he hits old ladies or whatnot. I don't know.
No, he's Rocky. If Rocky's mother were still alive, he'd take her to mass every day. He's that type of guy.
He didn't have this. Is the one missing thing is the preacher or the pastor. Like, he doesn't have his Italian-speaking pastor that he can't understand in this one. I don't think.
Which one was he? Was he in the first one?
He was in the first couple.
Was he one of those old school Italian priests?
He kept he would talk to him, and the pastor would respond in Italian. He's like, "Yeah, I was thinking about it."
Rocky was probably raised in a household, maybe like sort of like
he might have been able to understand, but not reciprocate.
That was how my mom was raised. So my mom's half Italian. Her grandparents from Italy, and they didn't really speak English. So and they babysat her a lot, so she could understand it, but she only remembers a few words, so she couldn't really speak it back to them. My grandmother could speak it. So he was one of those Italians.
So he runs up the steps and he picks up his ugly dog.
Oh, his dog's cute. He's got a cute, ugly dog. Yeah, and he does the run up the stairs at the library. And so it's fun. Like, if you love the first Rocky movie, this is a good callback to it. I think this is my second favorite of the Rocky movies. Maybe it's not as high on the list as my favorite movies of all time, but I just really like this movie. So okay, let's fast forward because we got 2 more movies
He
to talk
beats
about.
up the dude and then he doesn't win.
Yeah, it's a good fight. I mean, and Rocky beats the ever-living shit out of this guy. And, okay, Sylvester Stallone is freaking juiced. And, I mean, that doesn't exist in nature.
Like,
He
I don't
is
know.
ripped.
Like, his trunk is so wide
And, you
at
could
this point.
had like 12-pack abs. He was so thick and big and muscular. I'm like,
You want to throw him on the grill.
I need to know
Make
who
some
your
steaks.
dealer is, Sylvester Stallone. Looking pretty good there for your age. Mason Dixon, I don't want to... Okay, try not to body shame. We try not to, like, hurt the feel. These are real human beings who play these parts, so I don't want to be a dick about it. And the guy didn't really look like he was a boxer.
He didn't
Not
get
that
in shape
okay.
at all.
There are unfair body standards for men in Hollywood as well. And however, boxers look a certain way. This guy didn't look like a boxer.
But, okay, the same thing happened in Creed. These are both actual boxers. So
Shall we move on to Creed and talk about that?
Okay, one thing. Maybe it makes sense for his character that he's kind of out of shape for the Rocky fight.
Because he doesn't really
give a
have.
shit.
He doesn't have to.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not worried
It's an
about
exhibition
you.
fight.
I'm not trying.
So, yeah, but it's a pretty good fight. They both beat the ever-living shit out of each other. You'd think Rocky won, and Rocky doesn't even care. He just walks on.
They
He's
walk
happy.
out.
You know, in his heart, he won.
And his walkout song was something by...
It was something by Frank Sinatra.
Yeah,
High Hopes by Frank Sinatra.
High
yeah.
Hopes. Anyway, so we get on to
He walks
Creed,
off, and then Mason wins by a split decision. Meh. Whatever.
which is probably inaccurate.
But I think
he would
they
probably
were
have won by
They
unanimous.
were probably, oh no, they were probably trying to make it like the first one, like, oh, he didn't win, but that's not really important. It's important, you know.
I mean, he's old as fuck. What
The
would
friends
they,
he
would they
made
give
and-
him the fucking belt and then be like, now defend it, old man?
Maybe.
Like, anyway, so...
Anyways, let's move on to Creed. So talk about
Creed is awesome.
It is awesome. And
This
Creed,
was a great idea.
hold on
like,
just a second. It came out in 2015, so now explain Creed.
So, this could have been just a really not good idea, and it was amazing
It
anyway.
was really good.
They had a great idea of how to, like, bring in Apollo's family without, like, I think he has a son.
Adonis is his... to use an old school phrase, his illegitimate son with a woman he had an
It's his
affair with on the
bastard.
side. Yeah.
So his bastard child was adopted by his actual wife,
Which
his
was
widow.
good of her to do that because
Yeah, it was cool.
The
It was
boy
like-
was in like I don't know if his mother I think had died and she had maybe drug problems or something. He was in a home, and Apollo's wife found out about it, so she adopted him and raised him as her own son.
Yeah, so that was cool.
That was
So
good of her
she
to
was
do
like,
that. Yeah.
"This is the last piece of Apollo that exists, so I'm gonna. He's
Yeah.
mine now." So that's cool.
And his wife is played by Felicia Rashad, who is great in everything.
Yeah.
And adult Adonis is Michael B. Jordan.
Who's also very good.
Yeah, he's good.
Although apparently not everyone thinks so.
Oh, I thought he was
Based
good.
on our conversation this weekend.
I liked him.
Yeah, I think he did really good. But anyway, so we find out more about Adonis. He did really good with his well, now his mother. And he's at a corporate job where he probably makes decent money, and it's safe and whatnot, and he's sneaking away to Mexico to fight legitimate boxing matches with no trainer, no coach, and still winning, which I still find that a little strange, but fine. He's a prodigy, basically, so that's cool. And then he's like, okay, I won again. I think this is at this point in the story, it was like he won 16 times in Mexico, and so he's like, I'm going pro, and he's tells his mom, and his mom has that what you would expect a black mother to do when her son is acting like an idiot, and basically shames him, and then like, you don't need me to approve of what you're doing, go ahead. Just shuns him, and he goes off to Philly to reconnect with Rocky, who doesn't know about him. And the rest of the movie happens.
The rest of the movie happens, and Rocky doesn't want to train him at first, and then he gets into agree to fight. And so it's funny, I remember the plots of the Rocky movies better, even though I've probably seen Creed more recently. But it's a very good movie. It's you see the relationship with Adonis and Rocky, and he fights a guy. He gets in a legitimate fight with this British guy. And everybody makes a big deal out of it because, it's the son of Apollo Creed. And
yeah, because he has an asshole for a friend.
Yeah, and meanwhile he meets this interesting musician girl and starts a relationship with her. And so that's cool. It's kind of the love story, kind of like with Rocky and Adrian.
She's kind of like the original Billie Eilish.
Yeah, she's cool. I like her. It's like, it's cool club type of music, very
mellow,
chill.
whispery.
Yeah, like you'd want to sit in a dark club and just listen to it and like zone out to strobe lights and trance music and stuff. Yeah. So, and does he beat the British guy? It's been a while since I've seen it.
No.
He doesn't?
He doesn't beat him. He gets he gets the Rocky treatment.
So it's kind of like, he's got a heart of gold, but he loses the fight.
Build up to like, okay, yeah, he lost, but now this dude is about to leave, so like, the division's yours now, kid. Go out and win.
The British guy left.
But then he doesn't...
Oh, he was going to jail.
Yeah, he went to prison for
prison.
holding a gun in Britain, so... Which...
He just had to live in America. You could do that
everywhere. He could have just hung out here.
Yeah, you could do that everywhere. So,
you can even cross state lines with a gun that's not yours and shoot people.
Yeah, I mean...
Anyway.
It's a Wild West out here. So, anyway...
So then we get to Creed 2, which it opens with him finally getting the title shot again.
Yeah, and this came out in 2018.
Yeah, against the guy that beat the hell out of him in his they're not related, but so the son of the trainer who trained Apollo and Rocky has a gym, the Delphi Gym, cool name, in the first Creed movie, and he rejects Adonis. That's why he went to go fuck with Rocky. So
that's not your phone.
I think it is my phone. Anyway, It doesn't matter. Sorry. So the guy that was beating his ass at that gym, he's the new champion right now. And Adonis puts up his, he doesn't put it up, but he fights for his Mustang back. So he gets it.
He puts that up as collateral, basically.
He put up his collateral in Creed 1, and now he's getting it back in Creed 2. And that's like the opening scene. So beats that guy's ass, gets his Stang back. And then out comes from the woodwork of Russia that, or is it
He has,
Ukraine?
Okay. Ivan Drago is back, Dolph Lundgren, and he has basically been exiled to the Ukraine because
he lost once.
He was a shame to the great Soviet Republic. And so he's exiled in Ukraine, and his wife, who had been played by Bridget Nielsen, left, and who had been married to Sylvester Stallone in real life for a little while. Interesting trivia.
That's so weird.
Yeah,
Sylvester Stallone and that guy with the clock.
Yeah. Girl! Interesting choice of men there. So anyway, he is in exile in the Ukraine working like a shit factory job with his son. And because she, I guess, had a son with him, and then she fucked off to find some rich guy because he wasn't rich anymore. So he's raising his son, who is a big, brutish man-child who is also a boxer.
Like, he's not a man-child or anything. It's just... Well, at the end of the movie, there's this scene where, you know...
Oh, yeah.
I think I cried for this.
I know.
And when I stopped the movie, I was, like, kind of mad. I was like, I'm crying for this fucking monster that misses his mom.
That's okay, though. It was sad. So let's get to that part.
So we have... fairly quick into the movie, there's a fight between Adonis and Drago, because there was this promoter that was being a dick and talking shit about his dad, and he was all like, I'm gonna show him what
talking shit about Apollo?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's like, what if the son of the guy who killed him fights Apollo's son.
So Rocky
Very Game of Thronesy.
Yeah, Rocky refuses to coach him because he's basically like, I don't want to watch you die. And this guy's massive. He's not even in your weight class. I don't know why we keep doing this. This is totally illegal, but we keep doing it. It's not weight class like 210 to fucking forever. It's like 20 pounds of maybe at the heavyweight. Anyway, this isn't how things work. But fine. So he goes back and he hooks up with Delphi Jim, with the son of the man who trained his dad, and they're like, we're teaming up to basically be the same thing with a different outcome. But it's halfway through the movie, so you know what's gonna happen. They should have made a version where he actually won. And
is it like what the fuck? Is it like a Law and Order episode where you get like halfway through and they've got somebody and there's a twist, and you're only 30 minutes in, so you're like, well, I know they don't have the right perps, so there's a twist.
In both of these situations, they should just win on that first one,
that's
and
the
then
end of the
everyone
movie.
being like, but. And then they just meander for a while.
Yeah, and they just show the rest of his life. But
so
anyway.
he gets the shit beat out of him. He gets
yeah.
hospitalized and also cheap shotted after he was knocked down. So that's the only reason he's still the champion. And he has a whole year of recovery while he's dealing with his baby being deaf.
Oh yeah, they have a baby.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so all of that, and then Rocky finally comes back, and they're talking. They're like, okay, we're gonna do this again, but this time we're gonna do it for the right reason, which is always makes the difference. And Rocky, this is the part where I didn't like. Like, I was like, it's fine, it's cool, it just doesn't make as much sense. He's like, you know, I gotta take you where people go to come back from the dead, basically. And he takes him to, like, it's either Mexico or El Paso. I don't know. It's
Doesn't
in
he
a
take
desert.
him to, like, basically Bane's prison?
It's just a spot in the desert with nothing around, and there's just boxers that... I don't know how this works. I don't know if there's, like,
kind of sketchy looking guys punching oil drums.
I don't know if everyone puts $100 in the pot and that's the money for food that week or what. But either way, so they're there, and it's a cool scene. I just don't know why they didn't do the... They could have done the Russia thing, and they could have updated it, but it still would have been cool. But fucking...
So he does old school gangster
whatever,
boxer
he hits
training.
a hammer in the desert and falls over while running and shit like that, and he sticks his foot in a tire and punches another guy, and he can't move. It's all cool, but it's just
okay. And then is
a little weird.
Is the final fight in Russia?
In
Moscow?
I want to say yes, because that's what makes sense, but I don't recall. Yes, because his mom was there.
Yeah, okay.
So
and this is kind of weird. Like, they make a big deal of sort of Ivan Drago having his comeback through his son. And so there's some fancy dinner where Brigitte Nielsen shows up with whatever, like her seventh husband or whatever. And it's all fancy. And Drago's son is in his little gray sweatpants tracksuit. And I just like... It makes me think of when little boys wear, like, their Superman cape to the grocery store, like, hey, buddy, you want to wear your cape when we go out and get some ice cream?
This man is an athlete. He doesn't need a suit.
He doesn't care. He just shows up in his tracksuit. I guess there's that whole gray sweatpant thing. I don't know what that's about. But he's just there in his tracksuit, and everybody else is all dressed up and fancy. And so they're like, you're the toast of Russia, and you're going to win this fight and make the Drago name proud. And so, but he's feeling kind of weird about it because his mom is still kind of like the ice queen and kind of standoffish.
And
so
he talks to his dad's like, what the fuck is she doing here? She left us. And
yeah,
then
he's
his dad's
pissed off.
like, shut up. This is how we get back in. And then, so...
Yeah, Ivan wants to stop working in the factory.
So they have the second fight, and even though he, like, fucks up Adonis's ribs, he basically is just like, power of love or some shit to beat up the giant monster. And then they get far enough into the fight that Adonis knocks him down with one hand, and he looks over and his mom is getting up to leave, and he's
it's sad. It's like, really sad. It's sad.
Full disclosure, I love my mom, but I didn't grow up with her around, so this was like
hitting you in the feels.
No! Like, if that giant monster can cry, then what the fuck? So
then we can change too.
yeah. So
Aw.
this giant crying monster set me
Oh, it
up.
was sad.
And then, okay, so that happens. He loses, but his dad throws in the towel like Rocky should have done way back in the day. And
For Apollo,
he's like,
yeah.
He's
So
like,
Ivan throws in the towel.
he still
for
hugs
son.
his son and whatnot.
Yeah, so Ivan loves his son, and he's like, no matter what, and it shows them kind of running together at the end and training, and they're
Yeah,
friends.
like-
So he loves his boy, and he realizes that his relationship with his son is more important. So, that's the feel good part of it. So he's kind of redeemed at the end. It's sort of like how hot Simon Rhee with his eye patch is redeemed at the end of Best and the Best. What's up, Simon Rhee?
Anyway, so all of that happens, and then
That's it. And
Adonis takes his deaf daughter to his dad's gravesite, and Rocky goes back to Canada. Not back to Canada. He goes to Canada to see his son and his grandson for the first time, and it's just like
it's all the dad love at the end.
Yeah.
Everybody loves their dad, and it's a feel-good movie at the end. And so Creed 3 is coming out in 2022, and I was a sucker and fell for a fan-made trailer on YouTube, and I got really excited because the way they made it look was that
I had questions immediately.
I was
just
so
like-
excited. He was in the bathroom, and I'm screaming. I'm like, Michael J. White and Mr. T are in this! And then I posted something on Facebook, and somebody said it's fake, and I took
Michael
the
J.
comment
White's
down.
old as fuck.
I know, and I kept thinking, Michael J. White's in good shape, but he's too old to fight Adonis. What are they doing here? So it's not.
He's gonna
It was
fight
fake.
a kickboxer.
It was fake. It wasn't a real trailer. I fell for it.
Of course.
So I was really excited about that.
It must have been
and
really
then-
good editing.
It was really good editing. So look up Creed 3 trailer. It's not the real trailer, but, kudos to whoever did that editing because it does look really good.
So that's all of them.
All the Rocky movies. So
And every one of them's good. Even 5. I know people complain about 5. I think maybe the writing, it was certain things were a little off, but like all the ideas in it were cool.
yeah, it was good. Okay, so can you rank favorite to, I don't even want to say least favorite, but just like rank most favorite to less favorite of the Rocky movies? And here's the list if you want to look at it.
I don't need no stinking list.
Excuse me.
Okay, let's see. Now, I gotta fight between what I think's better movies versus what my favorites are, because those aren't always the same thing.
Just say what your favorites
I can
are.
see what's a better movie, but not enjoy it as much. Rocky Balboa might be my number 1. And then I guess Rocky 1. Like, Creed is almost there, but based off the original. So I guess Rocky 1. Then Creed and Creed 2 are pretty close. I'll put Creed, Rocky 4, Creed 2. And then 3, and then 2 of
Where's-
Rockies.
Where's Rocky 5?
Oh, okay, I'll put Rocky 5, then 3, then 2.
Okay.
Because I actually like Rocky 5 better than 3 and 2. Even
Yeah.
if it's just for the last fight, it's fucking
I
awesome.
might be the same. So I think for me, the first Rocky is my favorite. It's one of my favorite movies ever. So the first Rocky Balboa, probably Creed. No, I'm going to go back. No, I'll go ahead and keep that answer. Rocky Balboa, Creed, Rocky 4, Creed 2, and then I'll do the same Rocky 5, 3, and 2. Because I really don't remember much of 2. I think that's the least memorable.
So who's the best villain?
Brigitte Nielsen.
Oh god. Okay, who's the best boxing villain?
The best boxing, probably Ivan Drago.
Ivan Drago had more of like a robotic.
He had all of
murder
Mother
thing
Russia
going
behind
on.
him.
But I think his son, like if I saw one of them and they're like, you gotta fight one, I would rather fight Ivan Drago than his son.
His son is a beast.
Because his son looks like he's built like an athlete more than Dolph Lundgren was at the time. Like, Dolph Lundgren looks like a bodybuilder.
He's just tall.
And he's wide as fuck.
Yeah.
But I know he did Kyokushin, so he was an athlete too, but he looks like a bodybuilder. So I'd be more like, maybe you'll tire out sooner. This other son of a bitch looks like he'll punch you and you'll fly. Which, I mean, obviously Ivan Drago can do that too, because he almost killed Stallone, and like I said. But, so, guess Ivan Drago, his son, and then Clubber Lang. Because Apollo is more like a rival.
Oh, Apollo's his friend. Now, Clubber was an asshole, and he got Mickey killed.
Oh,
so...
but what about Thunderlips?
Oh, is that Tommy Gunn?
No, it's not Tommy Gunn.
Who's Thunderlips?
It's Hulk Hogan.
Oh, God. I forgot about him.
Thunderlips.
That's a disgusting name.
It's so weird.
Ew. I don't know. Which one was he in?
3?
Okay.
I think it was him, because it was ultimate 80s-ness.
It was all the 80s-ness.
So, yeah, he had a charity fight with Hulk Hogan, and they made him look like he was 7 feet tall, even though he wasn't, but whatever.
He was just fun.
Yeah.
So, anyway, anything else? Because I've got some recommendations. Okay. He's giving me the signal to
whatever
move on.
This is.
So, we've got some recommendations. So, watch all of the Rocky franchise. It's amazing. That's something we love. And then we got some recommendations for other good boxing movies. So, the first one is The Fighter with Christian Bale.
That's awesome.
That's something that AJ had turned me on to. Because, weirdly enough, I'm not really into boxing movies, even though I love Rocky.
The Fighter is like one of my favorite movies.
It's a good movie.
It's so good.
Second one is one that I've seen that AJ has not seen, Raging Bull. And I like it more because I really like Scorsese movies. I love Robert De Niro. He and Joe Pesci are in it. They're freaking assholes in it. It's a good movie. It's really long.
I need to just buy the bowl and watch it.
Yeah, it's like if you like Scorsese, you just need to see it. The third one is another one I haven't seen, but AJ has seen, Cinderella Man with Russell. Was that Russell Crowe?
Cinderella Man is the shit, but
It's the shit.
It's the shit. But the only bad thing is that they totally misrepresent something Bear. I can't remember the
actual guy.
The opponent in the movie in real life was not a huge asshole that went around taunting people about how he killed 2 people in the ring. He felt really fucking bad. The second guy, I think he actually had a dream about it the night before the fight, and he told his promoter, like, I don't want to fight. I want to skip this one out. He's gonna die. And they convinced him, like, nah, it's nothing. It was a one-time thing. And then that guy fucking died. Like, he went to the hospital. He didn't wake up. Bear fought. That's either his first or his last name. I don't remember which one. He went and stayed with this guy in the hospital until he died that night. So that's a huge misrepresentation of that guy. But the rest of the movie's really good.
Okay.
Also Hands of Stone, but I don't have any info on that. It's just, it's out there in ether. I'm pretty sure Robert De Niro is the boxing coach in it.
I mean, you can't have a boxing movie without Robert De Niro. 2 more. Ali with Will Smith as Muhammad Ali was really good. And then the last one is Grudge Match with Robert De Niro and Sylvester Stallone. It's really good. It's funny. They're both really funny together, and
they're a lot better than I expected.
It was a good movie. I really liked it. So yeah, this is just our feel-good episode about the Rocky franchise. We love it. So
it's the best franchise there is.
It is the best movie franchise there is. Fight us on it. So
like, let's see, long-running franchises. Star Wars. No. Can't fuck with me on that. The first 3 are really good, but some of them don't even beat the top couple of Rocky movies. Sorry. Harry Potter. The Harry Potter movies can suck a dick.
What? I thought you liked the Harry Potter movies.
I like up until like 4, and then after that they just took
movies.
So much out of the books, and they're like, we're gonna put everything in blue, and it's gonna be depressing, and none of this shit is fun anymore. Nah. Anyway, I'm sure there are people that love all the James Bond movies, but they have way highs and way lows and whatnots, and they're hilarious, but they're not good. Well, I'm sure some of them are good.
Some are good, some are not.
Mostly they're funny. I can't think of
Fast and Furious is
Fast and Furious is just total cheese fest, so it doesn't count.
Yeah.
No one would say those are good movies. Even the first one.
There were only 4 Jaws movies, so that's not really a franchise. Those were awful.
I mean, there's long-running horror movies, but those are terrible.
Yeah.
That's
best don't even count.
long-running franchise ever. You can comment your decisions, but they're not as good as this one. So.
Yeah, no, it's not as good as this one. So how to find us? We're on Spotify, Anchor, and iTunes for our podcasts you can listen to. You can watch us on iTunes. You can find us on Instagram at Movie Painter Pleasure Podcast. And me at Melanie Gibson Author. And hopefully very soon we will be seeing you on Twitch as well.
Yeah, it should have been up on Twitch, but
AJ's,
this was a bitch.
He's working on it. He's working on it. So anyway, thanks for listening. Go watch the Rocky movies. Join our cults. Be my victim. Bye.
And no, we're keeping Be My Victim.
We're keeping Be My Victim.
All right.
Bye.
Do that.
Rising up, back on the street. Took my time, took my chances. Went the distance, now I'm back on my feet. Just a man.